as we talk about the political situation we're in and the alternative strategy that we want to pursue. The backdrop to all of this, just to bore you with some statistics, just the backdrop to these disputes, it's worth trying to get across to people. There are 14.5 million people in this country living in poverty now. 5 million children living in poverty. 70% of those kids living in poverty are in households where someone is at work. What does that say about the level of wages that people are being paid? It says that people largely living off poverty wages or wages that can't keep up with the rate of inflation and the cost of living crisis. So we need to be absolutely clear about what our demands are. First of all, that we want inflation proofing of wages, benefits and pensions. It's a straightforward demand. Let's be absolutely clear as well. We're not in a wage inflation spiral. Bank of England has said 80% of the inflationary pressures are external, from Ukraine or from the breakdown of the supply chain post-COVID. What we have at the moment is a profit inflation spiral, a profiteering inflation spiral. So how do you make sure people are protected? You inflation-proof them. But secondly, you also lift the cost burden off them as well. The biggest cost burden that's hitting them at the moment is the energy prices. In France, they've capped it at a 4% increase only. What we should be doing, straightforwardly with the companies, saying if the French can do it, we can do it. And if the companies don't deliver, you know the solution. You bring them into public ownership and democratic management. We've nationalised them. But it's also about other costs as well. So part of our alternative economic strategy should be about controlling rents. The mayors of London and Manchester and elsewhere have demanded it. By the time we get to autumn, we'll be facing huge increases in food prices. So we need to be considering now the mechanisms by which we control the prices of the basket full of goods that people need to live on at that period. But there's a third element as well. The reality is this: inflation-proof wages, benefits and pensions. You control prices, rents, energy and food prices. But also, you know as well as I do, the only way that people will be protected in the future is if we join a trade union, but also we have a strong trade union movement with basic trade union rights. We know that if Truss gets elected, there'll be another assault on trade unionism. We need to make it absolutely clear, as Mick Lynch did the other day, that if they come for us, if they seek to deny us the right to strike, if they try to undermine any further trade union rights, we will come out together in coordinated action to defeat them. Finally, let me say this: as we come through this crisis, we face up to the existential threat of climate change. And that's an issue for the trade union movement as much as it is for our whole society. That means, as part of our alternative economic strategy, we will be demanding the investment that's needed to ensure that we have alternative energy sources and at the same time we properly insulate our homes and our properties. In that way, we will need to tackle the next crisis, which is the big one. Let me just say this: the picket lines gives us the opportunity of discussing these ideas, but also they give us the opportunity of working together to show that basic unity of the movement. And one of the key ways of showing that unity is how we support one another. That's why let me make it clear again, just to repeat the message, because some elements in the higher echelons of the Labour Party haven't been listening. The role of a Labour MP, of course, is to speak up for our people in Parliament. But it is also fundamentally to show solidarity wherever we can. So as well as in Parliament, it's on the picket line. That's why we elected them as Labour MPs. So throughout this dispute, let me give this pledge again. Whether it's in Parliament or on the picket line, I'll be with you in 100% solidarity. Solidarity.
John.